Hey everyone, welcome to the 6th tutorial in this game dev series. Today we're going to start working on level 2, Lava Cave Parkour. We'll clean up level 1 and add a transition to a new scene, create lava terrain, a volcanic cavern skybox, and volcanic rocks for the players to jump on. So the first thing we're going to do here is go to our first level and export some of these objects that we have in the hierarchy as prefabs. See how I have the player and menu manager and event system selected? If you drag these into the project tray, they'll create prefabs that we can then use to drag into our new scene when we create it. This will save us a lot of time in having to redo all the components in the object hierarchy like we did for level 1. Next, I'm going to say File, New Scene, and create a basic URP scene. We'll go ahead and click Create. And once that gets added, the next thing I'm going to do is add a terrain object. This is going to be used for our lava that the player needs to avoid by jumping between rocks. So I'm going to go ahead and save as level 2 here, just so we have this saved in our scenes folder. So I'm going to go ahead and click save there. And then the next thing I want to do is drag those prefabs that we created into our object scene here. So I'm dragging the player and the music manager and our menu manager, as well as the event system. And I'm going to turn the background music off for now on the music manager. We'll make some more background music for this level later once we've gotten a little bit more built out. So next I'm switching over here to Visual Studio Code. I did switch over to OpenAI's Codex from Gemini here. It is not free, it is a $20 a month plan, but it's been giving me much better results. So you can still continue to use Gemini on your own if you want to. It works just fine. I just happen to prefer Codex. So what I asked it to do is create a lava-like terrain, and as you can see here, it created a lava bubbles material, which I assigned to the terrain, and it looks pretty good. All right, next we're going to pop over here to Rodin again. They actually have a tool called Omnicraft, and what this does is creates a three-dimensional, kind of like a spherical box view for skyboxes. So this is what will fill up our sky. So I pasted in a prompt, and as usual, I'll share all the prompts in the description for you. But basically, this is kind of like a volcanic underground cave type of looking thing here. So I'm gonna download it as an 8K PNG file. So that's a pretty large file, but you need these to be pretty high resolution to look good. So once this finishes downloading, I'm going to grab it and pull it into our project tray here again. So I pulled all three of these in. You really only need to pull the high HDR PNG file in. And then I'm going to make sure that we have the RGB color checked, and make sure that let's up the size a little bit to 8192 here. And then the next thing we're going to want to do here is actually create a new base material. So we're going to call this sky lava cave material, and then we're going to change this to use the skybox panoramic shader. And then the next thing we're going to do here is grab that HDR high ping file and drop it into the spherical HDR box. This will set us up so that we can set this up as our skybox view. So I'm going to go to Window, Rendering, Lighting, go to Environment, and choose our skybox material, this new sky lava cave material that we just created. Okay. And you can pretty much leave everything else here default for now. And then I'm going to go ahead and click play, and let's see how it looks. Cool. All right. So that looks like we're inside of a big glowy cave. And obviously right now Gary's just running around on this lava, which we won't keep it that way for too long. But yeah, that's looking just like I want it. So I played around with the settings here on this lava terrain a little bit. It was a little bit faded and wiped out. So the component that Codex produced for me gives you a lot of different toggles for the bubble scale, the bubble speed, the ripple, the different types of lava colors. So I kind of wanted to get it to match the skybox a little bit better. So made it more of a deeper orange. That looks pretty good. All right, so for this next part, I wanted to try the image to 3D functionality of Rodin. So I actually used Midjourney here to create some volcanic-like rock structures. And so you can go ahead and upload those onto Rodin. and turn those into 3D models, just the same way you normally do with the text to 3D that we've seen in some of the other videos. So these are looking pretty cool. They've got kind of some little cracked fissures there. Now the thing is, these actually get exported all as one single object. So like I showed in another video, I'm going to pull these into Blender and just go into the X-ray view and select these faces and just kind of separate these into their own separate objects. You obviously could create these one by one. There's some tools out there that do this automatically for you. This has just been kind of the quickest and easiest way that I've found within Blender here to break these up into multiple pieces of geometry. So we want to have individual objects so that we can place these rocks around different spots in the lava. So I'm going to actually end up creating about a dozen or so of these. And just for purposes of getting things started, I like to kind of drag them into the scene and scale them and move them around a little bit just to see what this level is going to start to kind of look like with Gary there. So, you know, we're just getting the scene set up at this point to kind of look, get an idea of what it's going to look like when we get the full level created. So, all right, very cool. We can jump around. Obviously, Gary, you know, can still run on the lava. We'll have to update that at some point. So let's go ahead and implement the death mechanic. So I basically asked Codex, hey, when the player jumps and lands in the lava, we want to have him die and respawn at his starting point. So it created this component called hazard zone, which I'm attaching to the terrain object. And let's go ahead and test it out here. So you can see there when I land on the terrain, he does actually respawn at his starting point. So we've got some basic death mechanics in place there. Now I'm going to go ahead and play around with the lighting here a little bit. So I changed the source from skybox to gradient. I just want to make it look like the sun. You know, we had sun in the first one, and this one has more of like a glowing, you know, lava-like lighting setup to it. So the light source for this scene is just going to be that environment skybox. So this will give kind of like a nice, cool, orangish, glowish hue to Gary when he's jumping around. All right, the next thing I want to do is make the lava look a little bit more glowing orange. It looks, the color looks good, but it just doesn't quite have that pop of a glowing light. So I went ahead and asked Codex again here to create another component that I could add called the lava glow light. So you can see down there, there's a glowing light script that's attached to it, and that looks a lot better. So now we're going to hop back over into our first level here, and you can see I added some helper text that shows up in the menu at the beginning of the scene. And now I'm going to pop back over to VS Code, and I'm going to have Codex create a trigger on the end portal, so it'll take the player to level 2 when they've completed all the objectives. And so you can see here it added the level 2 scene name, load scene here in the level complete routine, and also added a trigger component to add to the end portal. So I already had this set up here, did this off camera, so you can take a look here on the menu manager. The next level scene is set to level 2. And if we go over here to the portal object, you can see we have the portal trigger script set on that guy as well. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and rename this real quick to end portal while we're in here. Okay, and the last thing we need to do here is actually go to File, Build Profiles, and see this scene list here. You want to actually make sure that you have both level 1 and level 2 added to this. Otherwise, the trigger won't work and it actually won't be able to send you to that level 2 scene that we added earlier on. And the last thing I want to do here real quick is just set it so that if the player reaches the end portal before they've completed the objective, we want it to actually teleport them back to the spawn point and reset everything. So here's a quick test after putting that prompt in, and yep, that looks good. Alright, so now let's test if I actually collect enough coins and see if we can get the portal to teleport us to the new level 2 that we just made. We beat level 1, and there we go! So I hope you enjoyed this video. This game's starting to really come together here. We've got multiple levels now, and in the next video we'll work on making this more of a level with some good parkour challenges and some other interesting obstacles the player has to face. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See ya!